All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Family Reflections. My name is Ketty Emmanuel, and she is,
Keenan Nicholas.
and we're here today with a topic that I'm kind of shying away from, but I feel like I need to talk to you guys about it. Just to give you some context, I lost a member of the family recently, and so this is all very fresh to me, and I like to be as genuine with you guys as possible. And I couldn't really think of anything else that I wanted to talk about right now more than this. And what this is death. I want to talk about death. I want to talk about how it affects us, how we deal with it, how we get through it, um, and how it's a part of our lives that it's strange to me. It's not, yeah. I want to dig into it a little bit. And Kina, I'm dragging you into this with me. But I just want to really thank you for being willing to talk to me about this and talk with me about this. Um, and guys, I'll be honest with you guys. This might be a relatively short episode because I don't know how long I want to talk about this for, but uh, yeah, we're in here, and we hope you guys can join us as we get into this a little bit. Kina, do you have any thoughts?
I'm just taking some really deep breaths before we get started because I too have lost someone very close to me. So it's a very touching topic. I tend to shy away from the whole conversation as it relates to death and especially having to open up about my experience losing that person.
Yeah,
So let's get started.
yeah, most definitely. So one of the first things I want to touch on is the fact that death feels unnatural. It seems like no matter how many times you've heard people say that, yeah, all of us are gonna die. Nobody's here forever. Life is short. You hear all these things being said, and then when it actually happens to someone that you love, somebody that you know very well, it seems like there's a problem. It seems like there's a mistake. Like something just happened that isn't supposed to happen, right? And I'm kind of confused on why that is. Like why does that happen? Why do we feel like uh, death is something that went wrong all the time? What do you think?
Um, it's just how we react. It does feel surreal. It does feel unnatural. And I guess yeah, even when you're not directly in it, it does impact you some way or the other. You have to get used to not seeing somebody that you're always used to seeing. So it does seem surreal.
All right. And yeah, I don't know, guys. This is going to be a tough one for me, but um, we'll get through it. So I know of some instances where there are some people who are together for so long, right? That
Hmm.
when one of them passes away, the other person falls ill, right? And now it sounds very romantic, okay? It's a very romantic, like you had a stories of Romeo and Juliet, right? Where uh one of them is like, I can't live without the other person. And but it's kind of amazing to think that no, this is actually a real thing. Like some people will actually pass away if someone else passes away, like, and not because of suicide, but actually because of a natural illness that comes from the process of grief.
You're saying that, and it has happened. A lot of couples, especially those who've been married for years, you find that when one departs, the other one follows really closely. But recently, I experienced that with not just that sort of relationship, but siblings. A dear friend of mine passed away in Guyana. She's St. Lucian, and she was coming back home. On the day that she was supposed to come back home, she unfortunately passed away. And she had this sister who kept saying, I want to go with her. I want to go meet my sister, also departed. So it was a first for me in that situation, having somebody depart in that way, and then another relative following so closely. And it's not just traumatic having to deal with one person, but can you imagine the trauma that the family experienced having to now bury two sisters? It I don't even know how to put it into words. You you're thinking that I want to go, I really want to go with this person, but I also get the feeling that it's also being selfish. It's like, what about the others? What about other family members who are leaning on you, who are looking to you for support as well? So I don't know. It's a sad and unfortunate situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I couldn't even imagine. You know, for me, what I see in the fact that this happens is just how connected people are, right? You you have certain people who won't survive you being gone.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk to someone who is suicidal, when you talk to someone who wants to take their own life, the general sentiment is that, nah, everybody's going to be fine. Yeah, everybody's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Once I'm gone, and life is just going to continue as normal. All the people I love will be just fine, just the same as they are without me in the picture. But the reality is, and I told a good friend this recently, um, we're all connected to the point that when you're sick, the ones you love are sick. When you pass away, there's a piece of the ones you love that is gone. That piece not only harms them emotionally and mentally, but also literally physically. People are physically harmed by your absence. And uh, I know someone who is suicidal might not want to hear this because, and we could go into the whole suicide discussion there, but I want to stay on topic. But it's just food for thought, in my opinion. Another thing that I find interesting here is how similar the feelings that accompany a breakup are to those who have lost a loved one. And as for just how similar those feelings are, I can't speak to just the degree of similarity, but there seems to be some similarity between the two, right? Where
Mhm.
even going through a breakup, there seems to be a process of grief that you go through, which is similar to what you go through when you lose a loved one, right?
Yes, definitely. You go through the whole denial of the fact that you're not in a relationship anymore. Then you have those anger emotions, you have the whole depression, and finally accepted it. Um, and even before that, you may want to negotiate with that person, try to get that person back. It's similar. It's a similar process to dealing with death. And Miss Ross actually established those stages, and she's saying that we may not all experience it, but let's just discuss it for those of us who have experience going through all those stages. Some of us who may have experience going through two of those stages, or three, or one, but we all at some point experience something. So I don't know if you want to delve into that right now.
Yeah, well, just really quickly, you mentioned Miss Ross. Who's that?
She is actually the person who developed the five stages of grief, which is denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and acceptance. So yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's a very, it just makes me wonder how she developed those stages. Like, how did she?
I think it came about working with terminally ill patients and
Okay.
seeing the whole process play out. So they go through denial, and you find out you get this emotional feeling of anger. Then you're bargaining with God, take me instead, or I will go to church every Sunday if you bring this person back. And going through depression, and then accepting the death, basically, not necessarily um, saying, you just simply realize that this person is gone when we speak of acceptance.
Okay. It makes me wonder how some professionals, medical professionals, law professionals, policemen, policewomen, firemen, firewomen, how they deal with encountering death all the time. Like, what does that do? Social workers too. What does that do to your psyche? What does that do to you emotionally when you're continuously encountering death over a period of, let's say, a career of 30 years or 40 years? Like, what happens to those people? You know?
That's why counseling is relevant, and also debriefing. Debriefing is a key part of any career that deals with that sort of trauma. You get to talk about it, you get to vent, you get to express those emotions. And over the course of, like you said, a career of 30 years, it sort of gets normalized. I don't know if you understand. It's like you're going through emotion.
Yeah.
You almost become numb. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just speaks to human beings' ability to adapt, right? We are very adaptable people where regardless of the situation, we tend to, develop a level of detachment out of it, right?
So
But yeah,
what about you? You lost someone very dear to you recently, and we're talking about the stages of grief. Did you go through all those stages? Have you experienced any of the stages so far?
so the stages are denial, anger, um,
Bargaining.
bargaining, and depression. Um, for me, I think I went straight to anger. I think I skipped denial. Um, and then from anger, maybe, I don't know. For me, I went from anger back to denial because, um, like, it seems like, and I don't know if those stages are supposed to be experienced sequentially.
They're not linear. That's the thing. It's not in a straight line. Yeah.
Okay. Because I went from anger, and I feel like now it's almost like I know consciously that this is something that happened, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe subconsciously I just feel like, it's more like a movie, it's not really real, you know i think I think that's kind of where I'm at. And maybe that's how I'm deciding to cope or get through. But I think that's where I'm at. As
But
for
you did have some level of bargaining, right?
well, yeah, but for me, I'd say bargaining more so in that just those feelings of, oh, if I knew, then I would have tried to do this, or I would have tried to do that. If I knew, then I would have used some different things to help out, stuff like that. So I guess all of that falls underneath bargaining as well. Um, as for the depression part, um, for me, it's hard to see the line between just feeling sad and being depressed. So I think I know I'm definitely sad, but I don't know that I can
You're
say.
sad, but you're not to the point that you just want to stay in bed and not do anything and
All
just
right.
not talk to anybody, not see the world. So yeah, you're just sad.
Yeah, like for me, I feel like to make her proud, I have to keep moving with what she gave me, with what she taught me, with the strength that she tried to put inside of me, you know? Um,
Mhm.
so that's where I'm at when it comes to that. So yeah.
Hmm. In my situation, it is surprising to me, but I think I just accepted it. Any feelings of anger, and I will not even say it was really anger. It was it was not about the person dying. It was about what became of the situation, in the sense that I I was very young at the time, right? And I guess I could say it. When my dad passed, I think I felt that anger at like after the funeral and after everything, at certain people, at just being mad at everybody, not being mad that he was dead. And I say this because it was like nobody allowed me to cry. I didn't get the time to be sad. Yes, so
Yeah.
I never cried, um, when my dad passed. It was like, you get into this zone and you just keep going. You have to deal with this, you have to deal with that, you have to plan funeral and do everything else because I'm his only daughter and he only has the two of us. So it was just, you're going through this numb zone where you don't
All right.
even get to really realize that this person is gone, and you just plan everything and everybody's around you breaking down almost, but you have to be the strong one when you really don't want to be. So it was just that I didn't get to experience the emotions that I probably wanted to at the time. And even now I feel a certain way about that. But I just moved on and I've just been in that zone still,
All
not
right.
not yet breaking down.
So when you said that you were very young, how young are we talking?
Let's say I was in Form 5.
Okay, so not too young, right?
No, not too young. I
Okay.
was a teenager.
All right.
Yeah. But it was at a critical stage in my life. So I think that made it more impactful, the time that it happened.
All right.
Yeah.
Um, so I have a theory, and it's just a theory, but I feel like in those moments, in the moments of those things happening. So for me, for example, you said it was your dad, so I'll also share that it was my grandmother, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I was the one that got the call from the hospital, so it was early in the morning, and I was actually just done editing something for I Know the Pictures, and I'm about to head to sleep, and the phone rings, and it's this nurse, and she's on the phone, she's out of breath. She's like, "Hey, are you sitting down? Are you sitting down?" And you answer the phone as soon as somebody tells you, "Are you sitting down?" You know, okay, something bad is about to happen. And so she tells me that my grandmother passed, and she gives her condolences. And in that moment, for me, my safety blanket was action. My safety blanket was, all right, here's what I need to do. Let me go down the road. Let me check this person. Okay, after I check this person, I have to go and take I need to get these things done. And so in that way, I was able to, it's like you're coping through what you need to do, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you're hiding, in my opinion, you're hiding from the pain, you're hiding from the darkness by shielding yourself in, okay, let me do these things. I have to do these things. Let's save all that other sad stuff for later. Right now, I have to keep my head in the game. I have to stay focused, right? And that focus allows you to not have to process the sad stuff. Um, so I can identify with what you're saying is what I'm trying to communicate. right? But definitely thank you for sharing that with me and the viewers. Um, there's a myth, and you did mention that um, you just had to move on. Yeah, I think moving on is in and of itself a myth, right? People seem to think that if you're strong, if you're really strong and you focus hard enough, then after somebody passes, you will move on and be okay and carry on with life. But I think moving forward is a more accurate description. Um, from what I've heard and from what I'm currently experiencing, it's not that anything disappears. It's more so that every day you wake up and you you still have to you're alive, you know. But there's always that piece of you that's a little different now.
Yeah, because like you say, you're alive, so you have to continue with living basically. And there will be good days, there will be bad days, and good days again. But again, it's part of the acceptance stage that you've accepted that this person is no longer there. But you also recognize that you have to continue this cycle of life. You have to continue doing what you need to do.
Yeah. But okay, so after, let's say you've handled all the stages of grief in a healthy way. So you went through the denial, you went through the anger, you went through the bargaining, then the depression, and now you're at acceptance. Yeah, and perfect. But is it still possible, having reached acceptance, that you still feel guilty when you have those good days? You still feel guilty, like, should I really be feeling happy knowing that X person is not around? Is that a healthy thing?
Would that be true acceptance? This is a very good question, you know. Um, I even you're saying that you're still having those guilty thoughts, like should I be experiencing this level of happiness? This person is not there. Part of acceptance is being able to answer that question, being able to be happy without feeling that level of guilt. And even if you were to have that level of guilt, is there anything bad about that? You're still gonna have that healthy mindset.
All right.
But really and truly, I don't see it's a permanent grief is a permanent thing, and that's what I think we're placing timelines on grief. Like you're telling me that we've gone through those stages and automatically you're supposed to just forget that you're grieving. That's not how it works, because it is a permanent fixture. It's a part of your life till you yourself depart. So those feelings will always be there. But again, it draws back to you just being able to move forward and going through the cycle.
That's interesting, because that's another myth right there from my research on this, is that people feel like, um, yeah, as I said, grief is a process that ends and now you're back to normal. And even when people come to a wake or they come to cheer you up at a funeral, they say, yeah, man, you know, you have to be strong and move on, you know, okay? You have to get over it, See, make sure you get over it, you know? And that I
Mhm.
find that to be the wrong direction on that.
Approach. But even while you're saying about the wake, I was thinking, yeah, because when you bury this person, people come to your home. That's it. And the thing about St. Lucian Society, and I guess maybe throughout the Caribbean, it's like once you've buried that person, the people who were there sort of just disappear. And I think that when it hits the hardest, um, this person has been buried. Nobody comes to the house. Nobody offers that level of support like they did while you were, preparing for the funeral and all of that. And I think that's the most vulnerable time because you're alone.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm going back to the house. This person is not there. The other
Right.
people can come with you all the time. They could only stay for so long. What do you do then? How do you cope? And I think that's where it becomes, do you have that healthy mindset to actually continue and deal with it?
No, absolutely. So I really feel like the way people support each other when someone loses someone is upside down, because when you really need people, first of all, let me touch on the whole burial thing. Once you lose a loved one and you bury them, there's, to me, like, I'm still processing that my grandmother is buried. Like, it makes me feel like, yo, I need to go, I have to go help her, I have to go take, like, remove her from the ground, because it doesn't seem right. You know, it doesn't seem natural for her to be underground. So I guess that's kind of part of the denial stage, right?
I was just about to say you were
Yeah.
experiencing denial
Yeah.
because you had this preferred reality versus the actual reality of she being gone. So you are actually in the denial stage.
Yeah. So it's possible to be in more than one stage at the same time, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Is it
But for
possible?
you, I think we draw back to what we were saying earlier. I think you went into the zone of it. You just had to action things out, and then you get to settle, and that's when it all hits you. So I think that's what happened to you, if I may say. You're now settled, and you're now realizing this person is not there.
Yeah. So yeah, going back to, first of all, I can't deny that, because it may very well be true. But going back to what I was saying, I think the way society supports you through the process is upside down, because it's almost like you lose somebody, everybody comes for a couple of days, like, hey, accept my sympathy, accept my sympathy. Which in and of itself is a funny phrase, accept my sympathy. But then, like, right after the person is buried, all the sympathies kind of go home. And
Yeah.
it's almost like you're expected, like, oh yeah, the burial is done, so now
So you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
So that's when you need them the most.
Yeah. So, and let me tell you something, and just going back to cultural expectations, I don't like wakes. The wakes, the way I experienced them growing up in St. Lucia, I don't like them, because this whole thing of you just lose somebody, and now is the time for you to go and buy crates of malt. Now is the time for you to go and buy how many bottles of rum. Now is
Make
the time
sure the coffee is there, brewing away.
Yeah, sometimes the lady that's hurting the most, the lady that has been crying the most, is she
that have to get the burden of making the coffee.
Yeah, she's frying the bakes, she's seasoning the chicken, and the person, is, she's falling apart.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be that way.
Right. But what way should it be, though?
You're saying that, and I'm thinking of the wakes, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? People go spend money, you have to make the coffee, you're grieving, and you have to be really being a hospitable host. You have to be so nice and all of that, when you just probably want to just fall out and break down.
Yeah.
Like, how are we really supporting? How are we supposed to be supporting those people during that time? Do we want to just come and drink the bounty and drink the coffee? And, the good part of it, though, I will say this, the good part of those weeks are being able to share memories. And I've enjoyed a few of them that way. The person who passed, they impacted each and everybody's life. And those who actually come get to sit around and share stories. They'll give you the funny stories. They'll tell you what the person was doing all that time, and just lighten the mood really. And I do appreciate those, because you get to see different aspects of the person. Maybe some things I may not, because we each have different encounters with people, right? You may see me as this funny person, somebody else may see me this way. So you get to appreciate all aspects of that person from the different stories that these people tell. So I do appreciate that part of the week. And it does help, a bit with the family grieving because they get to see how the person impacted everybody else.
And
But I don't think that this person should be providing the bakes and the Monty and coffee brewing and everything. Everybody bring coffee.
no, I agree with you because at the end of the day, like you want to place less of a burden on the people, and also going directly to what you're saying about the different perspectives of a person or the different aspects of a person's character. I think the wakes back in the day, the old time wakes, those
Mm-hmm.
were all right. Those were okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
my mom would describe to me how people would come from far and wide as soon as the person passed, and they would be at your house. They would not be leaving. They would be at your house 24 hours a day. There would be people playing dominoes. There would be people singing. And on a more grim note, the body would be at your house as well. Because at the time there was no funeral parlor. So I think in a time
And
like that,
even then, they were the ones helping around the house, right? The people who would come from afar would actually be doing most of the work and helping you out a lot more.
Yeah. So that I'm okay with that. If we could bring that back, that would be all right.
So let's bring that back.
Yeah.
Let's bring that back.
But the wakes I knew growing up as a little boy, I'm not with that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Things change.
You have anything else, Skinner?
Yeah. So even the manner in which you get the news of a death of a loved one affects the whole situation for you. In my personal experience, when my dad passed, I was in the balcony in my mom's house, getting my hair combed, and this lady, who up until the day like today, I still feel a certain way about her. But anyway, she was driving by, and she said she stopped. She's a family friend. Did you not hear your father died? And this is exactly how, right? And I was just like, huh? And she repeated it. Mind you, my phone at the time was in the house because, like I said, I was in the veranda. And that's all she said. And then yeah, he died, and she drove off. So when I finally was able to get to make some calls and stuff and reach that my dad had passed on his way to the hospital, and again, you go into that zone. But I did not appreciate the manner in which I was told by this person. It was very insensitive when I think about it, and it constantly is on my mind. I think about it all the time. I'm like, that was just so ridiculous. And I just move forward, like you say. You do what you have to do.
Yeah. And I think it's unfortunate how people make split-second decisions and they choose to do things in a split second that can affect you for decades and affect your life and your emotional health for decades ahead. And yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that happened. That lady, yeah, I don't even know what to say to that.
It's fine. Like I said, I am who I am today because of certain, memories. So it's good for now.
All right.
But not being able to go through certain emotions does affect you, and it affects you later on at times.
Right. Yeah, I agree to that because there are some things in my life where, again, as a stereotypical Caribbean man, like I'm used to just push it down, just push it
not
down.
Showing emotion.
Yeah, I safe, man. I safe,
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there've been times in my life where, you know, you're just sitting down and you just realize you're just crying. You're just crying, and then all these things come up. You know, all these things come up, and you know, you find yourself heaving because you haven't cried in about 10 years. But, so a lot of men, what we do, a lot of men, we take all our crying, we do it now, and then we do it again in the next 5 years.
Wait. Are you telling me that for your grandmom's passing, Kelly, that you had all the tears bottled up from years ago and you used the opportunity to cry under that, guys?
What I will say is that when I cried for my grandmother, I wasn't just crying for her, even though that was a huge reason why I was crying. Yeah, there's always.
Yeah, so you got the opportunity and you used it. You seized it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's how it is, you know. Yeah.
That's why I asked you, did you cry? Remember my question? Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where it stemmed from.
You asked me that, and I did. But for some reason, and I'll share this with you, for some reason, like at the funeral, I would start to cry. Like, you know, your body starts the process of crying. And I wouldn't consciously stop myself, but it would just stop.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why that kept happening. But maybe somebody else might have experienced the same thing, but it would just stop, and I would just stop. I don't know how to explain it. Do you have anything else to share, or anything else you want to talk about?
Not really, but to everybody out there who's lost someone, it's okay to grieve and it's okay to take forever to grieve. Grieving is not a temporary thing. There's no timeline on it. So when you find people probably mocking you or making comments like, "Oh, since the day such and such passed," or "You still sad about that," don't feel anyhow because they're not in your shoes. And like I said, it is a permanent process. It's something that will never go away. You're going to be grieving. It's the losing somebody is not something that is so mild that you just shove it off or shrug it off. Basically, don't.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to go through all emotions that you need to go through.
I completely agree with her. Make sure you allow yourself to go through the process. It's not a temporary thing, but be strong for the people that you whose legacy you carry forward. And you can carry forward the legacy of your friends, of your spouse, of your parents, whoever you have loved and lost. Carry forward their legacy. All right. And I think that's it from us, folks. As always, you can catch us in 2 weeks. This has been a tough episode for us both. Kina, thank you again for not only joining me on this episode, but also being vulnerable and sharing your experience as well with all of us, the listeners and me. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. It was a good show.
Yeah. All right, folks, you can catch us in here again on the 23rd. Have a good one. Bye for now.